The sun rose over New Seattle just like any other morning, casting long shadows through the quantum glass towers that defined Earth's most advanced city. For Lisa Thompson, it should have been nothing more than another routine day at the Planetary Defense Research Center. At 28, she was the youngest lead researcher in the facility's history, specializing in experimental resurrection technology, a field that most of her alien colleagues considered a waste of time. Lisa adjusted her lab coat as she walked through the facility's pristine white corridors, her brown hair tied back in a practical ponytail. The metallic badge on her chest flickered with her credentials: Dr. Thompson, Level 5 Clearance, Project Phoenix. The name was ironically fitting, though she hadn't chosen it herself. "Morning, Doc," called out Mike from security, his cybernetic eye scanning her credentials automatically. "The collective representatives are already here. They seem agitated." Lisa's heart skipped a beat. The collective, an alliance of 7 advanced alien species, hadn't scheduled any visits today. Their presence usually meant trouble, especially given their vocal opposition to human resurrection research. They considered it unnatural and dangerous, despite humanity's arguments that it was no different from their own life extension technologies. "Thanks for the heads up," Lisa replied, quickening her pace toward her lab. Something felt off. The corridors were too empty, the usual buzz of activity replaced by an eerie silence. She reached her lab's entrance and pressed her palm against the biometric scanner. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing 3 tall, silver-skinned figures standing around her primary research terminal. Their elongated heads turned in perfect unison to face her. Dr. Thompson, the tallest one, spoke, its voice a mechanical approximation of human speech. "We've reviewed your latest research data. Project Phoenix has progressed further than you've reported to the collective." Lisa's mind raced. She had been careful with her reports, revealing just enough to satisfy requirements while keeping the true breakthroughs hidden. Humanity needed this edge, the ability to bring back their dead within the crucial 40-minute window after death. The collective's monopoly on advanced technology had kept Earth dependent for too long. "I've reported all significant developments as required by our treaty," Lisa responded carefully, her hand slowly moving toward the emergency beacon in her pocket. "If there are specific concerns." "We found the successful trial data," interrupted the second alien, its silver skin rippling with patterns of agitation. "You've achieved full neural restoration in human subjects. This violates Protocol 7 of the Technology Sharing Agreement." "The agreement restricts weapons development," Lisa countered, taking a step backward. "Project Phoenix is medical research, aimed at saving lives." The third alien moved with impossible speed, its arm extending and morphing into something that looked horrifyingly like a weapon. "The ability to return from death makes your species too unpredictable. The collective has reached its decision." Lisa's fingers finally closed around the emergency beacon, but she never got the chance to activate it. The weapon made no sound. There was just a flash of blue light, an instant of searing pain, and then darkness. The security cameras would later show that Lisa Thompson died at exactly 9:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. What the collective didn't know, what they couldn't have known, was that Project Phoenix wasn't just a theory. Lisa had already tested it on herself months ago, making modifications to her own neural architecture that would activate upon death. They also didn't know about the backup systems, the hidden protocols, and most importantly, the rage that would survive even death itself. They had no idea that killing Lisa Thompson wasn't the end of their problems. It was just the beginning. The timer started counting down, 37 minutes until resurrection. The collective representatives left the facility, confident in their solution to the human problem. Behind them, in the seemingly lifeless lab, microscopic nanomachines were already beginning to hum to life in Lisa's cells, preparing for what would become the most important resurrection in human history. And in exactly 37 minutes, the collective would learn why humans had survived countless extinction-level events throughout their history. They would learn why humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their intelligence, but their absolute refusal to stay dead when there was a score to settle. Pain came first, a burning sensation that spread through every cell of Lisa's body. Then awareness, like lightning striking a dark sea. Her eyes snapped open at exactly 10:24 a.m., precisely 37 minutes after her death. The lab was empty now, the aliens long gone. Lisa gasped, her rebuilt lungs drawing in air with desperate intensity. The nanomachines had done their work perfectly, repairing the massive damage from the alien weapon while preserving her neural patterns. But they'd done something else too, something she hadn't anticipated. She could remember everything. Not just her life and death, but the 37 minutes of darkness. Her consciousness had persisted, trapped in the quantum storage arrays hidden within her own modified brain structure. She had spent those minutes planning, calculating, preparing for this moment. Lisa pulled herself up from the floor, her muscles trembling but rapidly gaining strength. The resurrection process had worked better than any of her previous tests. Maybe it was the adrenaline, or maybe it was the sheer force of her rage. "Security override Thompson Phoenix 0, she commanded, her voice hoarse but steady. The lab systems responded instantly, displays lighting up with restricted data. "Show me where they went." The security feeds appeared on the main screen, tracking the three collective representatives as they made their way to their ship on the facility's landing pad. They were still there, probably filing their final report before departure. Good. Lisa's fingers flew across the console, accessing systems that even her level 5 clearance shouldn't have allowed. Project Phoenix had been more than just resurrection research, it had been humanity's insurance policy. Hidden within its code were backdoors into every piece of collective technology on Earth, accumulated through years of careful preparation. Computer, activate Protocol Lazarus. The facility's lights flickered as hidden programs awakened, spreading through the quantum networks like a digital wildfire. On her screen, Lisa watched as the collective ship's systems began showing critical errors. They had no idea that their own arrogance, their belief that humans couldn't possibly understand their advanced technology, had been their greatest weakness. She opened a secure drawer beneath her workstation, revealing a matte black device that looked like a simple bracelet. Another secret project, this one completely off the books. She slipped it onto her wrist, feeling it adapt to her skin. "Dr. Thompson." Mike's voice came from the doorway, his cybernetic eye glowing with alarm. "The sensors showed, but you were dead?" Lisa finished for him, not looking up from her work. "I was. Now I'm not. And we have exactly 7 minutes before the collective realizes what's happening and calls for reinforcements." Mike's military training kicked in. "What do you need?" "Get me to their ship. They're about to learn that killing a human researcher in her own lab was a very, very bad idea." Lisa stood, her legs now steady beneath her. The bracelet on her wrist hummed softly, interfacing with her enhanced biology. As they hurried through the corridors, Lisa could feel herself changing. The resurrection process had done more than just bring her back, it had improved her. Every cell in her body had been rebuilt with optimal efficiency. She was stronger, faster, her mind processing information at unprecedented speeds. The collective had feared human resurrection technology because they thought it would make humans unkillable. They never considered that it would make them something far more dangerous, unstoppable. Lisa Thompson had died at 9:47 a.m. At 10:24 a.m., she had returned. And by 10:31 a.m., she would show the collective exactly why humanity's greatest weapon had never been their technology. It had always been their determination. And their capacity for revenge. The landing pad's massive doors slid open, revealing the sleek silver shape of the collective ship against the morning sky. Lisa's enhanced vision could see the three aliens inside through the vessel's quantum glass windows, still unaware that their supposedly dead victim was approaching. "Security systems are down," Mike reported, checking his tablet. But they'll notice in about 30 seconds. Lisa flexed her hand, feeling the bracelet adjust to her movements. That's 25 seconds more than I need. The device was already interfacing with her enhanced nervous system, giving her access to capabilities that would have been impossible before her resurrection. The first alien noticed her through the ship's window. Its silver skin rippled with what Lisa now recognized as their species' expression of shock. The one that had shot her reached for its weapon again. Not this time, Lisa whispered. The bracelet pulsed, and suddenly she was moving faster than human eyes could track. Her enhanced muscles, rebuilt by the nanomachines with optimized efficiency, launched her across the landing pad in a fraction of a second. The ship's defensive shields flickered to life, too late. Lisa's bracelet had already transmitted the override codes she'd hidden in Project Phoenix's database. The shield sputtered and died just as she reached the ship's hull. Inside, the aliens were shouting in their native language, their metallic voices overlapping in what had to be panic. Lisa smiled grimly as she pressed her palm against the ship's exterior. The nanomachines in her bloodstream interfaced with the ship's quantum systems, forcing the airlock to cycle open. Impossible, the tallest alien declared as she stepped inside. The resurrection process cannot. Cannot what? Lisa interrupted, her voice unnaturally calm. Cannot work this well? Cannot give me access to your systems? Cannot make me stronger? She took another step forward, and the aliens took a collective step back. You should have checked your history. Humans have a habit of doing impossible things when you back us into a corner. The alien who had shot her transformed its arm into a weapon again, but Lisa was already moving. The bracelet pulsed once more, and time seemed to slow around her as her enhanced nervous system kicked into overdrive. She crossed the space between them before the weapon could discharge, her hand closing around the alien's morphed limb. The problem with being so technologically advanced, Lisa said, her fingers effortlessly crushing the weapon arm as the alien made a sound of distress, is that you forget what it's like to fight for survival. Humanity never forgot. We couldn't afford to. The other two aliens moved to attack, their bodies shifting into combat forms. But Lisa had spent those 37 minutes of death studying their weaknesses through the quantum storage arrays. She knew exactly where to strike. The bracelet released a precise electromagnetic pulse, carefully calibrated to disrupt their shape-shifting abilities. The aliens froze mid-transformation, their silver skin turning dull and rigid. I'm not going to kill you, Lisa announced, watching them struggle to move their partially transformed bodies. That would be too easy. Instead, you're going to deliver a message to the collective. She pulled a small device from her pocket, another hidden project, waiting for this moment. This contains the complete data from Project Phoenix, including how I survived. Every member world of the collective will receive a copy in exactly 1 hour unless your leaders agree to renegotiate Earth status. No more treating us like children playing with technology we don't understand. The aliens remained silent, but their skin patterns betrayed their fear. They understood now what their leaders had failed to grasp: humanity's greatest advances had always come from being underestimated. You have 59 minutes, Lisa said, stepping back toward the airlock. I suggest you fly fast. As she walked away from the ship, listening to the sound of its engines powering up in emergency launch sequence, Lisa touched the bracelet on her wrist. This was just the beginning. The collective had killed her thinking it would stop humanity's progress. Instead, they had just started a revolution. The next 45 minutes in the research facility were chaos. Emergency alarms blared as government officials and military personnel flooded the building. Lisa stood at her lab window, watching more collective ships appearing in the sky above New Seattle. They hung there like metallic storm clouds, a show of force that would have been intimidating if she hadn't already proven their technology could be beaten. The president is on the line, Mike announced, holding out a secure communicator. His cybernetic eye was cycling through different scanning frequencies, monitoring the growing fleet above. Lisa took the device. "Mr. President, I assume you've been briefed?" Dr. Thompson, the president's voice was tense but controlled. "You died this morning." "For 37 minutes, sir. I got better." She turned from the window, walking to her main console. "More importantly, I proved that Project Phoenix works. The collective knows it too, which is why they're currently filling our sky with warships instead of simply bombing us back to the Stone Age." There was a pause on the line. "They're demanding we hand you over. They're calling you a technological abomination." "Of course they are." Lisa's fingers flew across the console, bringing up hidden files. "But they're really afraid because I proved they've been lying to us. All those technologies they claimed we weren't ready for? We're more than ready. They've been keeping us dependent on purpose." The president's voice lowered. "Do you have proof?" "Better." Lisa smiled, activating another set of dormant programs. Above the city, several collective ships suddenly lost power, their anti-gravity systems barely keeping them aloft. "I have leverage." Warning signals flashed across her screens as more collective ships entered orbit. But Lisa had spent those 37 minutes of death preparing for this moment. Her consciousness, trapped in the quantum storage arrays, had broken through dozens of collective security systems. She knew their weaknesses, their fail-safes, and most importantly, their lies. "Sir," she continued, "in about 10 minutes, the collective's leadership will receive proof that we've cracked their basic technologies. In 11 minutes, they'll realize we can shut down any of their ships that enter Earth's atmosphere. In 12 minutes, they'll have to make a choice, negotiate with us as equals, or start a war they can't win conventionally without destroying the very planet they've been trying to control." Through the window, she could see the disabled ships struggling to maintain their positions. The collective's entire strategy had relied on humanity's technological dependence. That advantage was gone. "The resurrection technology," the president said slowly, "how many others can use it? That's what they're really afraid of." Lisa checked the countdown timer on her bracelet. Project Phoenix isn't just about bringing people back. Every resurrection improves the subject. Enhanced strength, speed, processing power. And it can be replicated. More alarms blared as the collective ships began moving into attack formations. But Lisa remained calm. She hadn't spent 37 minutes in death just to start a war. She had a bigger plan. "Mr. President, I need you to get me a direct line to the collective's High Council. Not their Earth representatives, the actual leadership." She watched as her systems continued to disable more ships. It's time humanity had a seat at the galactic table. The communicator crackled with new voices, angry, frightened alien transmissions as more ships lost power. Lisa had turned Earth's atmosphere into a technological minefield, using their own arrogance against them. They had never bothered to change their base security protocols, believing humans couldn't possibly understand their systems. That mistake was about to cost them everything. "One more thing, sir," Lisa added, her enhanced mind already calculating the next moves in this cosmic chess game. "Tell them they have exactly 37 minutes to respond. After what they did to me this morning, I think that's more than fair." Above New Seattle, the powerless collective ships hung in the sky like a frozen metallic storm. But the real tempest was just beginning. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their place among the stars. The holographic projectors in Lisa's lab hummed to life, filling the room with the towering images of the collective High Council. 7 alien leaders, each representing their species, their forms shimmering with barely contained rage and fear. They had agreed to the meeting with exactly 2 minutes to spare on her deadline. "Dr. Thompson," the central speaker's metallic voice resonated through the lab, "you have committed crimes against the natural order." Lisa stood calmly before them, her enhanced body humming with power. Interesting. When your species developed immortality through consciousness transfer, that was progress. When humans develop resurrection technology, it's a crime. The double standard is fascinating. The images flickered as the aliens communicated among themselves in their native languages. Above New Seattle, their disabled ship still hung in the sky, a reminder of how quickly the balance of power had shifted. "You cannot comprehend the dangers," another council member began. "I comprehended enough to break your security, disable your ships, and force this meeting," Lisa interrupted. Her bracelet pulsed softly, interfacing with the lab's systems. On the screens behind her, data streamed past, proof of decades of collective interference in human development. "Let's talk about the real crime, how you've been deliberately stunting Earth's progress." The council members shifted uncomfortably as Lisa brought up specific examples: sabotaged research, manipulated trade agreements, stolen innovations. All the data she had gathered during those 37 minutes of death, her consciousness burning through their networks like a digital wildfire. "Here's what's going to happen," Lisa continued, her voice steady. "Earth is now a full member of the collective, with all rights and access to all technologies. No more oversight, no more restrictions." "Impossible," the central speaker thundered. "You have no authority." "I have every authority." Lisa raised her hand, and half the holographic projectors went dark. "Right now, my systems are shutting down key collective facilities across 3 solar systems. Nothing critical, yet. Just enough to prove I can." The remaining council members erupted in protest, but Lisa wasn't finished. Her enhanced mind processed their threats and dismissals with cold efficiency, calculating her next moves in this galactic game of chess. "You killed me because you were afraid of human potential. Now you're facing that potential, and you're still afraid. But here's the difference." She stepped forward, her eyes meeting each council member's gaze. "I don't want revenge. I want progress. Real progress, not the carefully controlled drips of technology you've been allowing us." The lab fell silent as her words sank in. The council members exchanged looks, their alien features impossible to read but their fear palpable in the air. "You have a choice," Lisa said, her bracelet displaying a countdown. "Accept Earth as equals, or watch as I release everything, the resurrection technology, your security weaknesses, your lies, to every species in the collective. How many others have you been holding back? How many would rise up if they knew the truth?" The central speaker's image leaned forward. "You would risk galactic war? You risked it first. When you decided to murder me, you proved you see us as a threat." Lisa smiled, but there was steel in her expression. "Now you get to decide, are we a threat to be destroyed, or allies to be embraced?" The countdown on her bracelet reached its final minutes. Above the city, the disabled ships hung like a frozen question mark against the sky. In her mind, Lisa could feel the nanomachines that had brought her back to life still working, still improving her. She was living proof of what humanity could achieve when pushed too far. 30 seconds, she announced. "Choose wisely. Because if you make the wrong choice, you'll learn that killing me was just the beginning of your mistakes." The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire collective, hung in the balance. And in the end, it all came down to a simple truth: sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't advanced technology or ancient wisdom. Sometimes it's a human with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The silence in the lab stretched for what felt like eternity. Lisa's countdown showed 5 seconds remaining when the central speaker finally moved, its silver form seeming to deflate slightly. "We accept your terms," it said, each word clearly painful. "Earth will be granted full membership in the collective." Lisa's enhanced mind was already processing the victory, but she kept her expression neutral. Full access to all technological databases, immediate cessation of all restrictive protocols, and recognition of human sovereignty in all matters of research and development. Yes. The central speaker's voice carried a note of resignation. Though you must understand, Dr. Thompson, this changes everything. That was the point. Lisa touched her bracelet, sending the commands that would restore power to the disabled ships above the city. Change is what humans do best. You tried to control it, and look where that got you. The other council members stirred, their holographic forms flickering with what might have been anxiety. And the resurrection technology, one asked. Remains Earth's proprietary innovation. Lisa smiled thinly. Consider it insurance. You've proven we can't trust you completely. Yet. Through the lab windows, she could see the collective ships regaining power, their hulls gleaming in the midday sun. It had been just over 4 hours since they had killed her. 4 hours that had changed the course of human history. Mike stepped forward, his cybernetic eye processing the departure of the alien vessels. They're retreating to standard orbit, document. All ships accounted for. Good. Lisa turned back to the council. One more thing. The representatives who killed me this morning? Make sure they understand that their actions led to this. Every time they look at Earth now, they'll remember the day they created their own worst nightmare, a human who came back stronger. The council images began to fade, but the central speaker remained for a moment longer. You could have destroyed us, Dr. Thompson. Why didn't you? Because that's the difference between us, Lisa replied. You saw human potential as a threat to be eliminated. We see every challenge as an opportunity to grow. Even death, apparently. The last hologram vanished, leaving the lab in sudden, almost anticlimactic quiet. Outside, New Seattle's citizens were emerging from their homes, pointing at the departing alien ships with a mixture of fear and wonder. The president's asking for updates, Mike reported, checking his communicator. And apparently every news agency on Earth is trying to get in. Lisa walked to her workstation, where it had all began just hours ago. The spot where she had died was still marked with faint traces of the weapon's discharge. She touched her bracelet, feeling the enhanced strength flowing through her rebuilt body. Tell them. She paused, considering her words carefully. Tell them that humanity just graduated. And class is officially in session. Emergency vehicles were still arriving at the facility, their lights painting the walls in rotating patterns of red and blue. Soon, she would have to explain everything, the hidden research, the improvements to the resurrection protocol, the plans she had made in those 37 minutes of death. The world would know that humanity had broken free of its chains. But for now, Lisa Thompson stood in her lab, alive despite all odds, and looked up at the sky that had suddenly grown much smaller. The collective had killed her because they feared human potential. In doing so, they had proven exactly why that fear was justified. Mike, she said, turning from the window, get me the research team. It's time to start Phase 2. There's a Phase 2, he asked, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. Lisa smiled, touching the spot where the alien weapon had struck her. Death, she had discovered, was just another problem to solve. And humans were very, very good at solving problems. There's always a Phase 2, she replied. That's what they never understood about us. We never stop pushing forward. Even death can't change that. Above, the last collective ship vanished into the clouds, leaving Earth's sky clear for the first time in decades. But this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning.